There are 3 steps involved in urine formation: filtration, reabsorption, and secretion. In the following slides, we will look at each one of these steps in greater detail. Filtration is a type of passive transport, and it occurs across a filtration membrane. The filtration membrane consists of 3 layers. The endothelium of the glomerulus. Recall that the glomerulus is a bed of capillaries or a tuft of capillaries located within the nephron. The glomerulus is highly fenestrated. The second layer consists of the fused basement membranes of the glomerulus endothelium, as well as the visceral layer of the glomerular capsule. So the visceral layer of the glomerular capsule makes up the third layer. The cells that make up the visceral layer are called podocytes. They have processes that interdigitate with one another, creating filtration slits. The fenestrations of the endothelium and the filtration slits of the podocytes determine what can be filtered. If it is small enough to go through the fenestrations and the slits, it can be filtered. The first step in urine formation, filtration, occurs along pressure gradients. It is a form of passive transport. Let's look at these different filtration pressures. The main filtration pressure is the blood pressure within the glomerulus. This is called the glomerular capillary pressure, and it is 55 millimeters of mercury. This pressure is elevated compared to other capillary beds. There are 2 reasons for this higher blood pressure. The first reason is that the glomerulus is both fed and drained by arterioles. This is unique. Capillary beds are normally drained by venules. The second reason is that the afferent arteriole, the one feeding the glomerulus, has a larger diameter than the efferent arteriole, the one draining the glomerulus. Due to this reason, more blood flows into the glomerulus than is drained at any given moment. This elevated blood pressure within the glomerulus is important because it is what determines the direction in which filtration occurs. Once protein-free plasma is filtered from the glomerulus into the glomerular capsule, the fluid will be called filtrate. There are 2 opposing pressures. By opposing, what I mean is that these pressures move the filtrate back into the glomerulus. The first opposing pressure is called the capsular pressure. It is 15 millimeters of mercury. The capsular pressure is the pressure of the filtrate up against the capsular wall. It remains low because the filtrate is constantly moving into the proximal convoluted tubule. The second opposing pressure is the colloid osmotic pressure. This is the pressure created by the plasma proteins. It pulls water into the glomerulus by osmosis. This pressure is 30 millimeters of mercury. The sum of the 2 opposing pressures is 45 millimeters of mercury, which is lower than the glomerular capillary pressure at 55 millimeters of mercury. This ensures that filtration occurs throughout the entire length of the capillary. The kidneys receive approximately 21% of cardiac output. Of this, 19% is filtered to become filtrate. Recall that what is filtered is protein-free plasma, although some albumins, small proteins, do filter and become part of the filtrate. The amount that is filtered per minute is called the glomerular filtration rate, or GFR. In a young adult, the GFR is approximately 125 mL per minute, This is equal to 180 liters per day. Keep in mind that you have 3 liters of plasma. This means that you are filtering 60 times your plasma volume every day. For this reason, most of the filtrate will be reabsorbed and returned back to the plasma. At least 99%, if not more, of the filtrate is reabsorbed. The net filtration pressure, or NFP, is the pressure responsible for filtrate formation, and this is the same thing as the blood pressure within the glomerulus. Recall that this pressure is 55 millimeters of mercury. It is important to maintain homeostasis with the GFR at 125 mils per minute. Increasing the net filtration pressure, or the glomerular blood pressure, will increase the GFR, and the opposite is true. In the next few slides, we're going to look at how you're going to maintain the GFR at 125 mils per minute. In other words, how will you maintain homeostasis?